So there we are again, inside the other unit. Same as before. Now, this time, I've got my got that motor with the male plug on. So obviously we're going to connect the... I'm just going to have a short cable coming out. Yeah, I could just wire this straight into there and just have them wired together. But it's quite useful to be able to disconnect these if you're trying to set up one motor, or you just want to adjust one without any power on. So it makes more sense to we swapped it on the other one, if you see what I mean. So we want a bit more. Let's get that easier to get to. We probably want a bit more solder sitting on the top just to make it easier to join. See, on the other ones, the wires that was actually wrapped around. So what we'll do is we'll join the wires together. On the other one, the wires have been actually wrapped around the terminal. This just dropped immediately off. So if we strip that back a tiny bit. In this case, what I'm going to do is actually just cut those ends back off again. Open them up. So we've got unsoldered ends now. I'm just going to wrap those two ends around together. Solder that up. So there's a really good connection between the two, and solder them down together. Gets quite hot. Always make sure you've got a sponge you're cleaning your solder tip. You don't want any blobs of salt. You don't want solder flowing everywhere. You want to keep it quite neat. And I'm taking that one off. You always solder with a little bit of solder on the end of the tip, but you don't want a lot of solder, is what I'm saying. We're going to just strip that back a little bit. Twist those together. Solder these. We'll just cut that back a little bit. So we've got a decent bit of solder on there. And they're connected. So we haven't done anything to this board. We haven't done anything to this servo. It's as it was before. All we've done is we've paralleled wires across the motor itself. So when we connect this one together, when we connect this to it, which we can now do like that, this servo board is going to be driving two motors. Now I'm hoping that that isn't going to cause a problem with these small servos. That's certainly how you do it with the big motors. With the little cheaper MG996s, I've had a couple burn out. So I'm wondering if the servo board isn't powerful enough, isn't rated high enough to drive two motors, which is a possibility. Whereas these HDDs are meant to be super powerful, so one would assume the servo board is super powerful. So is capable of driving the extra load of 2 motors running off the one board. Is really what I'm saying. So we'll soon know. Certainly on the larger units, the larger servos, the Hittech ones we've been using, there hasn't been a problem. We haven't never had one of those burn out at all. So it's just these baby ones, but these are only a couple of quid. These MG 996s, so you know, they're not massively expensive. So it's a bit unfair to you know, so they're failing because they're not. Particularly when you've modded them, because they're out of their manufacturer's specifications. So indeed, so is this. I mean, this is not. I think this has probably removed the warranty, put it that way. So we've paralleled. What we've done is we've got the single servo board driving 2 motors. So we'll put that back together again. I might have to cut out the plastic. In fact, what I'll do is just move the grommet over a little bit. I'll move that grommet out of the way. That will just remove the grommet completely. I certainly removed the grommets on when I modded the larger units, because this has just got a small slot there. So now obviously we've got 5 cables going through, so I'd actually set this one to 90 earlier, so I don't really need to. What we're going to do is I'm going to plug it in. We'll just disconnect that for a second. So this is back. This is basically apart from me paralleling that, is still an unmodded servo, so that's just as normal. So I'm going to plug that into Easy B. I'll put some servo wheels on. Right, so that one is the unmodded one, and that is 90. Well, it's 91 degrees, but it's hold on. I'll just make sure I can see that on the screen. Okay, well, let's try 2. They're going to be, that's the way they're going to be around in the neck. We'll put that one back to 90, and so that's going to be effectively at rest, if you see what I mean. So I don't know what's going to happen on this one. This is the first time we've done it. Okay, that's 90. And there we go. That's down to, that's 1. Okay, so I'm going to set that at 90, leave that at 90. Again, you can't see the screen, but that's what it is. So they're set at 90. I'm now going to disconnect that, and I'm going to take the existing old servos off the neck and mount them onto here. So these are the old, the original 2 servos that I think you saw that I did in a previous video. So that's the one that's burnt out. I'm going to take that apart and have a look inside, actually, because that stinks. When that went off, that was quite a bit of smoke came out of that thing. So that's quite. Don't worry about burning servos out, because you will. I think you've just got to be philosophical. Once I've set this servo up at 90 degrees, this is the slave one, or rather, once the master servo is set at 90 degrees, and this is going to be sitting at its 90 degrees, we obviously need these to be straight onto the neck. So I'm not quite sure the position, the rotation this way of this part of this piston. So I'm just putting a couple of screws in just to hold it in place, and then we'll set it up properly on the robot in a second. Okay, so this is the slave motor that I'm going to put back in here. It's a bit fiddly with the wire to get in, as You probably know if you've done one of these. There we go. That one's back in. On some of these, which I've done on the shoulders, I've actually bought the wiring, not on this one, but in the bicep. I've actually bought the wiring at the bottom, which does actually make a lot of sense, because it's always jamming on the side there rather than bringing it through the base there. There is a slot in there, but it's not that easy. So I think if I did these again, I'd bring it out the bottom. Right, the motors are in. We've now got to work out the positions of the two. We're going to have to adjust this to set it on, so when their head's dead centre, these are at the right length. It was a touch easier when I didn't have the weight of his head on originally, so that's got it. The problem being is that this ring, the base of the piston, is actually bigger than this inner ring, which is screwed to the servo, and so the screws are coming in at a slight angle, like that. So you've just got to sort of screw in this. Sorry, I'm probably not seeing it. You've got to screw in at a slight angle each time, so it's just a bit tricky to line up. Right, so that should now, it's not going to be that way around, it's going to be, try that one, there we are. That's going to line up like that at 90 degrees and keep the, just move it up so you can see. That's now going to line up at 90 degrees. That's at 90 degrees, that's going to line up so the head's level. I've done a video on this before, but I'm just showing you doing it again. So this right one is fine, so I've just got to make sure there's a bit of slack in there. We don't want it too tight. And I mean, you could start on either one, but get one right and then move to the other one. So I'm now going to screw this back in. That seems really good. So that's the head working again.